What's up guys and welcome back to my channel. In our first news, Pereira shared a brutal but honest reaction to his recent win over Makhachev and Ankalaev. Speaking to the media, Alex said he actually wished the fight had lasted a little longer because he didn't get to slap Ankalaev like he promised. Alex explained that he landed a clean punch before the elbows, which sent Ankalaev diving for his legs. That moment gave him the perfect opening to unleash his signature elbows, and once the first one landed, he immediately saw blood. He said it felt great connecting with those shots, and after a few more, the referee stepped in to stop the fight. Even though it was a dominant and decisive win, Alex admitted he wanted to keep going just a little more. He had promised to slap Ankalaev in the face during fight week, and was slightly disappointed he didn't get the chance to make that happen inside the cage. Alex delivered another devastating finish, showing once again why he's one of the most dangerous strikers in the game. But this time, it ended too quickly for him to fully enjoy every moment of it, especially that slap he was saving for later in the fight. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to help support the channel. Moving on to another news, Tom Aspinall recently opened up about a fighter he believes would have been a nightmare matchup for him. During a candid moment, he admitted without hesitation that Daniel Cormier, in his prime, would have been a huge problem stylistically. Tom said he's actually thought about this before, and even told DC directly to his face. He explained that DC has the worst possible style for him, describing him as a short, relentless pressure fighter who just keeps walking forward, constantly changing levels between grappling and punching. Tom went on to explain that DC could knock you out or take you down, and the scariest part was that he had cardio for days. For Tom's style, that kind of approach would have been a nightmare. He added that it wasn't a question he needed time to think about, because he'd already imagined how tough that fight would be. He then broke down what made DC so dangerous inside the cage. Tom described how DC would pick a leg, swing with everything he had, and land those big looping shots with his head low, making it difficult to counter. The power and the timing in those punches were enough to put anyone away. Tom noted how watching DC's fights over the years gave him massive respect for the former champion. He also praised DC's wrestling, calling it unbelievable, and emphasized that it wasn't just about strength, but about how DC mixed it all together. He'd close the distance fast, pressure constantly, and break opponents down both mentally and physically. Tom's respect for DC's style was clear, acknowledging that someone like him in his prime would have been a serious problem. It was a quick but very honest moment from Tom, showing how highly he rates DC's abilities. He said it with a laugh, but the respect behind his words was undeniable. Tom Aspinall knows styles make fights, and in his eyes, DC's style would have been pure chaos to deal with. Moving on to another news, new footage has surfaced showing Islam Makhachev looking absolutely massive as he prepares for his welterweight debut. The lightweight champion was seen grappling on a beach in Dubai, putting in hard work ahead of his highly anticipated clash with JDM at UFC 322 on November 22nd. In the clip, Islam looks stronger and more bulked up than ever, moving with power and control during the training session. He's clearly adjusted his physique for the jump to a higher weight class, showing off the kind of strength and explosiveness fans rarely see from him at lightweight. The atmosphere looked intense, with Islam focused on pressure and control, constantly driving his partner to the ground. Even during what appeared to be a relaxed session, he carried that signature dominance. It's a clear sign that Islam is taking his welterweight debut very seriously. Moving on to another news, Rampage Jackson shared a hilarious and unexpected story about how he once asked referee Herb Dean to be his sparring partner before his fight with Chuck Liddell back in 2007. That's the same fight Rampage ended up winning by knockout in the very first round. For those who might not know, Herb actually used to fight professionally and holds a record of 2 wins and 3 losses. His last fight was also in 2007. The same year, Rampage became UFC light heavyweight champion. Rampage explained that during fight camp, it can be really hard to find someone who can mimic your opponent's style accurately. He said he was trying to think of someone who reminded him of Chuck Liddell, and the only person who came to mind was Herb Dean. Rampage laughed as he recalled how he actually asked Herb to come in and spar, but Herb refused, saying, "No, I've got to stay neutral. I can't help you train for your fight." Rampage then clarified that it wasn't random. He had trained with Herb years earlier and remembered how Herb moved inside the cage. He explained that Herb's movement reminded him of Chuck's style, especially with the way he shifted his stance and stepped in with strikes. He even told the story in a way that left everyone laughing, saying, "Listen, Herb Dean moves like Chuck Liddell." That caught a few people off guard because not everyone knew Herb had an MMA background. The group reacted in disbelief, and Rampage confirmed, "Yeah, Herb Dean the ref. He used to fight. He's got dreads. You know him." He went on to explain that Herb didn't have the best record, but he was a good fighter with solid skills. Rampage said they used to train together with Antonio McKee and even sparred years ago. He praised Herb's movement and fight IQ, adding that Herb really knew what he was doing in the gym. It was a funny and unexpected behind-the-scenes story from Rampage, showing once again just how connected and small the fight world can be. Herb Dean wasn't just a ref in Rampage's eyes. He was a guy who actually helped shape those training sessions back in the day. Moving on to another news, Dariush shared his reaction reaction to the fight between Ciryl Oliveira and Mateusz Gamrot at UFC Rio, and he admitted he was surprised by how dominant Ciryl looked that night. Speaking with Submission Radio, Dariush, who has fought both men, said he didn't expect the fight to be that one-sided. He explained that short-notice preparation might have played a major role in Gamrot's performance, possibly affecting his ability to implement his game plan. Dariush said, "I was super impressed with Ciryl. He looked really good, clean, and didn't take much damage. He was able to basically do whatever he wanted to Gamrot, which honestly surprised me. I thought Gamrot would be able to do much better, but it is what it is." Dariush went on to mention what he had read from Gamrot's camp, that he came to the US only 3 weeks before the fight. That short window for a training camp can make a big difference at this level. He explained how those 3 weeks might not have been enough to get into peak fight shape, manage the weight cut properly, or sharpen his timing against someone as dangerous as Ciryl. Dariush said things like conditioning, weight management, and timing can be the difference between winning and losing at the elite level. He added that if you talk to Gamrot's corner, they would probably say the same thing, that with a full camp, the fight might have looked completely different. Dariush didn't say that as an excuse, but acknowledged the reality of fighting top competition on short notice. He's been in that position before and knows how much it can affect a fighter's performance. Watching the fight, Dariush noted how sharp Ciryl looked, pressuring from the opening moments, landing clean shots, and controlling the grappling exchanges with ease. Gamrot, on the other hand, didn't seem to have an answer for the pace and precision coming his way. Dariush explained that Ciryl looked like he was in total control from start to finish, and Gamrot simply couldn't find the openings to turn the fight around. In the end, Dariush made it clear that this fight doesn't take away from Gamrot's abilities or toughness. He just didn't have the preparation time needed for such a big challenge. But for Ciryl, it was another reminder of why he's still one of the most dangerous fighters in the division. Moving on to another news, one of the biggest stories today comes from Beneil Dariush, who just stirred up the entire lightweight division with a major statement. During a recent interview, Beneil revealed that he's been hearing some strong rumors suggesting Justin Gaethje is in line to get the next title shot against the reigning featherweight champion, Ilia. Over the past few weeks, the lightweight division has been pure chaos. Ever since the matchup between Arman and Hooker was announced for UFC Qatar, fans have been hoping for some kind of clarity on the title picture. But instead of answers, the situation has only gotten more confusing. Some reports have pointed towards Paddy Pimblett being next in line, while other sources claim Gaethje is the frontrunner. And now, Beneil has thrown more fuel on the fire by suggesting he's hearing that Justin might be the one to get the shot. Many fans online are already taking his words as insider information, which has set off a wave of speculation about what the UFC is planning next. On top of that, Beneil also didn't hold back when he was asked about a potential fight between Ilia and Paddy. He made it clear that in his opinion, Paddy doesn't really pose a serious threat to the champion. This statement has already sparked heavy debates online, especially among fans who have been calling for Paddy to get a big fight. Beneil's exact words were calm, but impactful. He said, "I'm hearing rumors of Justin Gaethje, to be honest, getting the title shot. I don't know how true that is. We'll see how that goes." When asked about who he believes is most deserving of a shot, Beneil explained that between Paddy and Justin, he would lean towards Gaethje. But he also emphasized that, for him personally, the fight he'd like to see the most would involve Arman, as he believes Arman has earned that opportunity. When the interviewer pressed him further, asking if he views Paddy as a legitimate threat to Ilia, Beneil didn't sugarcoat anything. He explained that in the striking department, Paddy would be in serious trouble. He doesn't see Paddy's stand-up game matching Ilia's precision, power, and speed. He added that while Paddy is a talented grappler and could be dangerous if he manages to secure a takedown, actually getting Ilia to the ground is a completely different story. According to Beneil, Ilia's wrestling is fantastic, and his takedown defense is world-class. That means even if Paddy tried to close the distance and turn it into a grappling match, the odds would be heavily stacked against him. The way Beneil spoke made it clear that he sees Ilia as a very complete fighter, someone who can dominate both on the feet and in the wrestling exchanges. With these new statements, the lightweight division has been shaken up again. The debate around who truly deserves the next shot at the title is growing louder. Gaethje's name is now back in the spotlight, Arman's stock continues to rise, and Paddy's future at the elite level is under the microscope. It's another wild turn in one of the most unpredictable divisions in the UFC. Moving on to another news, Merab has officially reacted to Deiveson's gritty split decision win over Montel Jackson last night. It was a close and competitive fight, but Deiveson managed to pull through in front of a roaring home crowd in Brazil. Right after the bout, Merab sent out a message to Deiveson, congratulating him and calling for a fight. He said, "Lenny, congratulations. Great performance against a top opponent. I'm waiting for you." Deiveson wasted no time and quickly responded, saying he'll fight Merab anytime. For Deiveson, it was a special night. He spoke after the fight about how incredible it felt to compete on home soil. Winning in Brazil is amazing. Fighting with this crowd is indescribable. There were a lot of people rooting against me. I wasn't the favorite, and it's just good to be able to come in here and do what I wanted to do. "Which is to be victorious," he said proudly. He broke down the fight in detail, explaining how confident he felt going into it. In the first and second rounds, he was able to secure multiple takedowns, controlling the grappling exchanges. He admitted he didn't do massive damage, but he had Jackson in danger for most of the time. He also mentioned the moment Jackson caught him in an arm triangle. Deiveson stayed composed, escaped the submission, and regained control, which helped him close the round strong. Heading into the third, Deiveson felt he had the momentum. He believed he could take Jackson down again and submit him, but gave credit to Jackson for his strong defense. Jackson attacked well on the feet, but Deiveson managed to adjust and defend himself effectively. In the end, the judges gave him the nod, and the arena erupted in celebration. Deiveson made it clear afterward that he wants the title next. "Man, I want to fight for the belt. I want to fight Merab for the belt," he said. He also mentioned that if anything happens to Ciryl Gane, who's currently ahead of him in the rankings, he's ready to step in on short notice. "All they have to do is call me and I'll sign the contract. I'll fight Merab anytime." This sets the stage for what could be a huge bantamweight clash. Moving on to another news, it was a tough night for American top team at UFC Rio, as Gamrot and Karolina Kowalkiewicz both came up short in their fights. Gamrot suffered a submission loss to Charles Oliveira in the second round, while Karolina was knocked out in the third round by Julia Pilastri. Following the event, ATT head coach Mike Brown shared an emotional message, reflecting on the night and Gamrot's performance. He began by saying, "We win together. We lose together." Brown admitted he was truly heartbroken for his friend Mateus, but at the same time, he couldn't help but admire his courage. He praised Gamrot for never shying away from big challenges and always taking big risks. Brown explained that Gamrot arrived in Florida just 3 weeks before the fight to begin his training camp for a scheduled UFC headliner on November 8th. But just 2 days after landing in America, he got the news that Fiziev had pulled out of his fight with Charles Oliveira. Brown said that Mateus, like a true soldier, immediately campaigned for the opportunity to step in and face the Brazilian legend. A few days later, the fight was officially his. With just around 12 days of hard preparation, Gamrot got on a plane to Brazil and took the fight. Brown reminded everyone that stepping inside the Octagon is always a gamble, and sometimes it doesn't go your way. This time, the gamble didn't pay off. Even with the loss, Brown said he couldn't be prouder of Gamrot's warrior spirit. He described him as a fighter who is willing to fight anyone, anywhere, under any circumstance. He highlighted the fact that in 30 professional fights, this was the first time Gamrot had ever been finished, showing just how tough and durable he's been throughout his career. Brown also paid respect to Charles, calling him a legend and a former champion, and pointed out that even great fighters like him have stumbled in the past. He stressed that one loss doesn't define Gamrot, and he still believes that Mateus can become a champion one day. He admitted it was a tough pill to swallow, but that's the reality of competing at the highest level. He closed by saying that the only thing they can do now is get better. "We can always get better," Brown said with conviction, standing firmly behind his fighter after a difficult night in Rio.